Hi, hello, sippers. Welcome back to another episode of LeaderSips, where we grow in our leadership with tips while we sip. Today on LeaderSips, I'm really excited to welcome a powerhouse marketing leader whose career has been built at the intersection of storytelling, strategy, innovation, unforgettable guest experiences, and leadership, of course. Marie Lee brings 25 years of experience leading customer centric, data driven marketing strategies across the travel and hospitality industries. In her current role as Chief Marketing Officer for Princess Cruises, and everybody knows I'm a huge cruise fan. All right, a position she stepped into 2025. She oversees brand positioning, demand generation, creative development across every marketing and every comms channel, helping strengthen Princess Cruises' leadership within the cruise industry. But before joining Princess Cruises in 2022 as Vice President of Media and Digital Performance Marketing, Marie built an incredible legacy at Disney Parks Experiences and Products, which is where I was honored to get a chance to work with Marie and learn from her leadership there. She was very much known, and still to this day, very much known for building these incredible audience centric campaigns, elevating the Disney destinations brand experience in very meaningful, very innovative ways, but also for being an incredible leader because she did hold a lot of leadership roles across customer engagement strategy, planning and integration, and CRM for Walt Disney World, but always blending not just her work, her creativity, her ability to analyze and think of new and creative ways to do things, but also, I mean, pushing marketing communications forward because she was such an incredible leader too. So, all right, beyond the impressive titles and accomplishments, Marie is very deeply passionate about building high performance teams, celebrating wins, big and small, facing challenges. She's got courage, she's got grit, and creating also experiences in her product that connect across generations. She holds an MBA. If that wasn't impressive enough, she holds an MBA from in marketing from the Crummer Graduate School of Business at Rollins College. I know we've got some Rollins alumni out there, and a bachelor's degree in communications from Penn State University. So pour yourself a cup, settle in, and join me for this amazing conversation about leadership and what it really takes to create brands, empower teams that have a lasting impact. So Marie, welcome to LeaderSips. I'm so excited to have you
Hey,
here.
Karlynn. Hi. I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for inviting me. Feel like I made it now that you've invited me to be on your podcast.
Oh, stop. I love that we can turn in like our breakfasts and our coffee meetups into like, well, wait a minute, what is taking us so long to get here, right? It's like we
I
do
love
this a
it.
lot. So let's turn the mic on, let's turn the video on, let's let people have a little peek into our coffee chats that we already have together.
Well,
So
thanks for inviting me to be here. I'm
oh
excited
my
to be here.
gosh. I'm so happy to have you here. I'm really honored because I know you're really busy and you're all over the world and you're traveling a lot for your job. But I have to say, you've really inspired me. You've made such a huge leap from 20 plus years, almost 25 years, I think, at Disney to a career at Princess Cruise Line. And I look at you and I think, oh my gosh, that takes so much courage and bravery to leave a culture that you know, to leave an amazing job. You were incredible here. I mean, what made you feel empowered to do that and take charge of your path in that kind of way and to make that leap of faith?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I mean, I think that it was a combination of lots of things. But ultimately what got me there was how excited I was for the opportunity. So I had um, looked at leaving Disney in years past for different things, but nothing felt strong enough to pull me away. And when I was presented with the opportunity to go to Princess, they were coming out of COVID. They were like the poster child for no cruising during the pandemic. They were the first cruise, the Diamond Princess was the first ship that had cases of COVID, um, and they were at a place where they just really needed a transformation. And it was a legacy brand, but it had gotten a little tired and really needed someone to come in and um, it was almost like starting with a startup, right? When I got there, the first day I got there, it was the day that they had the first or the last ship in the water, right? So we have seven, at the time we had 14, 15 ships. I should know this, 15 ships. And the
Still, it's a lot.
last ship started up operation again on the day that I started with Princess in
Wow.
2022. And there was a lot of things stacked against the brand at that time. And I just was really attracted to the ability to help transform this amazing brand. I was a I was a Love Boat watcher as a kid, as I know you were as well.
Yes, I loved it. I loved it.
And I think that it was the Love Boat, the show, that got me enamored with travel in general and with cruising. And so I just was really excited about the opportunity and the ability to make a difference for a brand. And then it helped that their target audience was me. So I'm the
Mhm.
demo. So I just thought it would be great. And it was scary. And the first year I was there was complete bedlam. Like it was, trying to stabilize, trying to bring the brand, back to life. But but yeah, I think overall it was the brand and the opportunity and the faith that I could make a difference.
That's awesome. Yes, I'm a big fan of the show. I rewatched it. I think I've told you this, but I was telling you this. I rewatched all 10 seasons during COVID.
Oh,
And
okay.
it
I
was,
don't
and
know if
I
I knew that. Yeah,
binged. I did grow up with it, of course. My
yeah,
mom was also used to watch it with my
yeah,
mom. And but then yeah, during COVID, binge watched all 10 seasons again. And it
yeah,
was so much fun. It just
yeah,
brings me so much joy. And yeah, as you know, like I love travel and the cruise experience, and so I'm excited, and I love what you've done, and I can't even imagine stepping into that time period for cruise, especially. I mean, that was a rough go of it, and talk
yeah,
about grit and just leaping in and doing that. So
yeah.
I mean, in such a short amount of time, you should be really proud of how far you've come.
Yeah. No, it's been really exciting, and I am very passionate about the brand and the team and what we've accomplished together and where we're headed. We're just getting started, I think. We've just scratched the
Mm,
surface. There's so much more for us to do. But it's been really exciting and really fun. And
it's awesome.
um, it's a great place to be and a great product. So, and I think you're going on your first Princess Cruise here relatively soon. Anyone should.
I am at the end of September. I'm very
Yeah,
excited.
yeah,
2 weeks in Europe,
yeah,
Oktoberfest. Woo. So I know I
yeah.
can't wait to experience it because, as you know, I've done a million Disney cruises and I'm a
Yeah.
fan. And I've been on Royal, done one
Yeah.
on Carnival, but this will be my first Princess. So I am
Yeah,
very
you have a
excited.
very
So
special experience. I would like to say with best crew at sea. I mean, we have an amazing crew, and
awesome.
then go to great places. So it'll be a great time. Great food. You'll love it. Great entertainment.
Yeah, great. I'm already excited. I've been looking at everything and the weather. Fall in Europe can't be better than that,
Yeah,
I think. That'll be
yeah,
good. Well, and you got a chance to help kind of build your team, right? When
I
you
did. Yeah,
joined. Yeah. And you have team members, California, like Florida, I feel like almost everywhere. You have a big bi-coastal team.
that's right. Yeah, I do. And what's been interesting is we have a lot of new people, so we have brought in a lot of new talent, but we also have some legacy people that have been around Princess for a long time that have such great travel knowledge and such great um, passion for the brand and history. And so part of it too was also blending those two groups together. And
Mhm.
then also making sure that everybody, because we are actually we're three offices right now because Carnival just broke ground for a new headquarters,
Oh, wow.
which will be near the Miami airport. But we are outgrowing the space we are in Fort Lauderdale. So we have seats in the Carnival building in Doral. So there's a Fort Lauderdale office, there's a Doral office, and there is a Santa Clarita office out in California. And I have team members. And not only that, every team is split among the three offices. So like the social team for instance, has team members. The majority of them are in Fort Lauderdale, but then there's a few in in Doral, and then there's someone out in California. So like really, it is about building that bi-coastal team collaboration, camaraderie, working as one team. Like it's been a very intentional thing that we have done and tried to do um, to build a thriving culture and be productive.
That's awesome. And I know that it comes with also its challenges where I think as leaders, you have to, because you're not always in the same room with your people, you have to really rely on empowering your
Yes,
teams, right?
that's
I mean,
true.
and trust.
Yeah.
So what does it mean like when you think about I feel like the word empowerment is thrown around a lot. It's like, oh, you're empowered. And it's like, well, not really. It's like the Princess Bride. I don't think that word means what you really think it means. And sometimes they throw it around to be like, yeah, you are empowered to do that as long as you do what I want, or as long as you
Right.
don't let me micromanage every line of whatever you're writing or doing, right? But when
Yeah.
you think about in the context of your team and how you all operate, what does empowerment mean to you?
It's interesting. I've been thinking about empowerment a lot recently, and empowerment is more than like, you talk about people delegating, delegate this, delegate that. But I think empowerment is maybe delegation with trust or intention with trust. To me, it's about saying, I trust you enough to give you ownership of this, and you are going, I'm trusting you to make the decisions about this. And I do think though that it's easy to say that, but what does that mean? And I think that it comes down to, in order to effectively empower, you have to have very clear goals. You have to have very clear um, ideas of what you want your outcomes to be. And you have to create those boundaries of this is how far your empowerment goes, so that the person that's being empowered knows, has the ability to say, okay, I can make this decision, no problem. But then when it comes to a decision that may be outside their bounds, that they are not relying on their leader to come to them, but they're coming back to the leader to say, hey, this is a little outside of my wheelhouse. Here's how I'm thinking about this, and this is the direction. But they're checking back in. There is those checkpoints. It's not a free reign to go
Hmm.
and do whatever. It is really about understanding what decisions are fully in your control and you feel confident in making them and feel confident in moving them forward, and then what decisions you still need help with. And I think that is doesn't ever that is true at every level, right? So I still do that with my leader, the chief commercial officer. I know I he and I have set the parameters around, this is clearly yours. And then the things that I think that you have to develop that skill of knowing this is a little bit outside my boundaries. So I'm going to go check in on this. And then the other thing with empowerment, I think, is making sure that you follow up to say, these are the decisions I've made. So this is what's happening. And so if things do go sideways, or you have a rationale of, hey, I told you I made this decision. This is what happened. This is how we're course correcting, or whatever, right? So, or if it goes extremely well, hey, I made that decision, and you can toot your horn a little bit. But I think it comes down to giving someone the trust and confidence to own something, to own a lane that they can make the decisions in. And I think that you need to do it at every level of the organization. And then it becomes a multiplier, right? Because then when you train and empower someone and teach them how to be empowered, then they do that with their team, and they do that, and that it multiplies out.
Yeah, you painted a beautiful picture of what empowerment is supposed to be. I feel like so many leaders, actually it's funny when you were painting that picture, I don't know why, but what came in my mind was a bowling lane where you have your bowler and then maybe you have a coach that's coaching you to bowl. but you put up bumpers and maybe those are the guardrails. I don't know. Like you want to keep the
Yeah.
ball in the middle of the lane. And then you as the leader, you're helping them paint, here's what the outcome is, but I'm not going to tell you how to throw the ball or which
Mm-mm.
little arrow on the thing to, throw it down. That's for you to figure out, but the guardrails along the way should keep you on that straight, narrow path, right? And then the coach hopefully sees like, oh, maybe next time you did a great job, but throw it a little bit this way or add a little more spin or whatever. I don't know why bowling
Yeah,
came into my mind.
no, I think that's a perfect analogy. I think the other thing too with this is empowerment doesn't happen without courage and trust. I mean, and then also as a leader, you have to let go of the fact that you may not know everything and that you may not be the smartest person in the room. Like you have to let go of that and let the talent that you have hired to do a job blossom and because ideas come from anywhere and you should be trying and you should be and everybody talks about building a culture where failure is an input. It's not a destination, or it's just part of the journey. But it's really hard to do, and it takes in the end you need at the core you need to be able to trust your people. And that's you have to be able to trust that they are going to make the decisions that are going to be best and drive the outcomes. And if they don't, then you course correct and you go forward. And it is hard. That is a hard thing to do. But I think that if you set the vision, to your point, you set the vision, you don't set the route. You set the destination, but you don't set the path, right? Um,
Why do you think, no, you hit on something. Sorry, you hit on
yeah, no, go
something
ahead,
for
go
me,
ahead.
but why do you think it is so hard though for leaders to empower, to let go of that?
I think there's a well, I think it's boy, we can go into a lot of deep things here, but I think that it's safety, it's control, it's your own self doubt. Potentially, if you're feeling like an imposter, how do you let go to let somebody else take it, right? Like this, do they
Yeah,
outshine you? Like there's all those mental things that are going in place, and it
so true.
ultimately it takes a leap of faith that you are going to rely on somebody else to succeed in an area that you're responsible for. And that is, I think, what's hard. Like you have to build that muscle and maybe start small. I feel like um sometimes I don't, not so much anymore, but when I first really started to, let's say, you have ownership of this, I'm not going to try to direct what you do. I'm happy to be a guide, I'm happy to be a sounding board, but this space, go do what you need to do to deliver that growth or to deliver that cost efficiency or whatever it is that we're doing. Sometimes I hold my breath and I'm like, okay, here we go. It is a bit of a roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing too is that it's not in a vacuum, right? Like you have regular check-ins, you ask how it's going. It is a team sport. It is not something. Nothing in marketing is a set and forget. We're building a living, breathing, ever evolving thing, especially in today's environment. And so I think it is constant check-ins and faith and trust, and you have to be able to be on board with that before you can truly empower anybody to take the ball and move it forward
Yeah. Well said. Well
without you.
said. Yeah. No, well said. I mean, you definitely hit on several things that like your own mental place, imposter syndrome, insecurity. Like I feel like, yeah, so then why don't leaders do it more? I think you hit on all of those things. So, or I guess in your experience or opinion too, when that doesn't happen, let's say you do fully empower, you fully trust, and then it goes off the rails, or, sticking with the bowling analogy, the ball
Yeah.
goes into someone else's lane, whatever
Yeah.
happens. What do you do then?
Well, I mean, I think that becomes a coaching moment, right? And you
Mhm.
say, and you take a step back and you talk through, okay, this is a failure moment. Let's use this moment uh, to reset, um, to alter course, and you talk through kind of alternatives and see if through coaching you can get them back on track. I mean, I think there are times where you pull it back. You say this isn't something that I think you can do, right? I mean, you have to be able to have those candid
Yeah.
conversations. And I think that that's what's hard too, is that we're not teaching our people to give candid, kind, but candid feedback, and tough feedback to make them better and to be able to make them um, empowered. So I think that empowerment, in order to empower, you have to say, here's the expectation, here's the goal, here's the expectation, here are the checkpoints that we're going to come back and talk about it. You need to articulate the decisions you make, why you make them, whenever asked. Like I may not ask you for them, but if I do, right, you have to be able to have those, articulate those. And if you're not up for it, or if we course correct, we try again, but ultimately, if you can't do it, then we we move you from that position, we take away the empower, we give it to somebody else. Like what, there's depends on each situation is unique. You can't, there's not a blanket answer, but it depends. But I do think it comes down to candid conversations and constructive feedback and saying, this is not working, and here's why I think it's not working. Why do you think it's not working? Let's talk through it.
Yeah. You hit on something I think that's so important too to remember. Each situation is different. So I think sometimes, I don't know, in my experience, and you tell me if this is in yours too, is that happens with somebody, and then you suddenly go, okay, I'm not empowering anybody ever again. Or, and then you blame other people for what one person maybe had a fail or screw up or things happen, right? But you need to situationally lead people. It's not fair to then make it then part of your leadership DNA to then I'm never empowering anybody again because I tried it
No,
once and look what happened, right?
you're absolutely right. And by the way, I don't think I I will say, in the role that I'm in today, I could not effectively do my job without having strong empowerment of people. There's just no way. So if you want growth in your career, you've got to figure out empowerment. And you have to try. It's one of those things. It's like practice. You just try and you try again and you refine and you learn and adjust you adjust your approach, you adjust, how you coach, you adjust the feedback that you give. But yeah, you keep empowering, and I think it's like any muscle. The more you do it, the easier it becomes.
Yeah, for sure.
um and
And
but
don't you th
yeah,
and don't
yeah,
you
go
think
ahead.
also the more you do it, the easier it becomes, but also I think the better your team becomes because they realize,
100%.
right, they're working for someone who's going to trust them. So they're going to work harder and they're going to
Yeah,
work more positively and there's going to be better morale, right? I would
yeah.
think.
I
Yeah.
mean, this goes back to years ago when I was in one of your circles and we wrote our leadership, um what our leadership mantra. What I can't remember what we called it. The your kind of your
Oh,
description of
the heart map, the
your
leadership
own,
vision,
yeah, your own
mission.
leadership.
Yeah.
And so, like, one of the things I think leadership in general, what everybody wants to feel seen, value, heard, right?
Yeah.
And what better way to make someone be seen, value, heard than empowering them to do their job and make decisions and deliver outcomes based on the goals
Totally.
and vision that you have. without micromanaging them. I mean, it's and listening to why they've done something, why, why they made a decision. It, it gives value. It's and that's so important, not only for employees and for your team members well-being, but for your culture. You're going to make a thriving culture. They've got to feel in charge of, and that their role, their job makes a difference in the organization.
Yeah, it always floors me that people don't get that. It's like, do you really think you can do all of this on your own? Leader
Well,
X, leader Y, leader Z. It's like, come on.
I think you're absolutely right in the fact, and by the way, that's one of the things, like, there nothing gets done by one person. Nothing. I mean, everything is an inspiration from somebody else. You build on things, you team, and you know, um, and as CMO, I may be at the top, but the team is what makes us successful. It's and how, and the fact that the media team is an expert in their space and they can make decisions with the agency on what, you know, placements to buy and how to optimize and based on what goals we've set. And the social team is, about driving the engagements, but and really looking at the content that drives the most, um, or the vision or the outcomes that we want to move us forward. And both teams are thriving, right? It's because they're in charge of their destiny with parameters, with a vision of where we want to go and what we want to do.
Yeah. Plus, you want to go on vacation once in a while, right?
Right, right, for sure. Yeah,
I think
yeah,
we
yeah.
all want to and need to, and
Well,
those types
I
of
think
things.
the other thing too is you also have to set kind of standards for professional excellence and what, like, nobody I want people that want to be on the team and deliver amazing work. I want people on the team that want to be the best marketing team in the cruise industry. Like, I want them to have that and embody that and that be part of their DNA. And if they're lackadaisical or if they're languishing, then we need to have a conversation, because that's not that I don't have a whole lot of room for that in my organization. And there is some, like, you know we need you to get on this bus with us or this ship with us, right? And if you're not, then this may not be the right place for you. And that comes back down to the candid conversations, and it comes back down to having regular feedback and checking in and understanding, hey, what's going on with you, right? And why are you feeling this way? um and
Yeah, and you could also find them a lifeboat to another place. I mean,
of
maybe
course,
going with
yes,
the ship analogy,
yeah,
it's like sometimes it's also just not right fit, but you have to
that's
have
right.
candid conversations about that too. Nothing annoys me more when leaders ignore those or work around problems or work around tough conversations, because then you also burn out your high performers.
Yeah.
Then you fatigue the rest of the team, and then you also burn your morale, bring the whole team down, because it's like, then they see what you're doing. And it's like, well, why do they get away with this? Because you're working around and ignoring what would just need to be a very candid conversation. I love that you keep reinforcing having candid conversations because it's critical. No one said it was fun, but it's so necessary. And
Well,
right? I mean, how do you approach that when you think about candid feedback too, to
I
keep
mean,
people on those
yeah, I
on
mean,
those
I
tracks?
think that that you build a culture of feedback. That's
That's
the
powerful.
more you give feedback, and you are assessing situations in the moment or when they happen, and not waiting for a mid-year or to address something, the better, because then you're addressing small things and making adjustments all the time versus waiting for it to become this big, boulder that's rolled down the hill and picked up all kinds of steam
Hmm.
that you're now trying
Yeah,
to solve, when you could have solved it when it was just a tiny pebble, right? So that's the kind of
great
that's the thing.
analogy.
Like, I think people say give feedback. Feedback doesn't have to be a big deal. Like, right,
Mhm.
and it's something that you constantly talk about, like, oh, this worked or this didn't work, or hey, what, it's asking questions ultimately, right? Like it's asking, like, why do you think this happened, or why do you think this outcome, we had this outcome, what was there something that it's addressing it in the moment. It's addressing it or close to the moment. We also do, everyone talks about postmortems. I listened to, um, I think it was, it was the Curiosity Shop, Brene Brown's and Adam
Oh
Grant's
yes.
podcast, right?
I listen to
Which is,
that too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and they talk about pre-mortems
So
in one
good.
of the episodes. And so I think that, and I was like, I think we do that. And we didn't call them pre-mortems, but it's like when you are starting to do something, you talk about, okay, how can this go sideways? What could go wrong? Um, you talk about it. I think we do it on a smaller scale, but it is just a constant um, way of working. And when you start to think about this idea of continued improvement, how do I continuously get better? Then feedback becomes easier. And by the way, when you start to have teams that are engaged in that, people don't want to let other people down. They don't want to let your team members down. You don't want to, like, there's so I think it just is um a cycle that you reinforce. Which way are you reinforcing it? Are you reinforcing the feedback and the continuous improvement, or are you reinforcing the fear and the just pushing through without having honest conversations, um and holding back? because
Yeah.
because when you start to unlock it, it becomes easier.
That's so true. That's so true. And when you nailed it, I mean, when you start to unlock it, when you have those conversations, the more often you do it, the easier it becomes. The more that it
Yeah.
feels more fluid and it feels more natural to give feedback, to share. And really all feedback, I think feedback's another hyped up corporate word, right? It's like everyone's like, what is feedback really? It's just talking to somebody, having a conversation and talking about what could have maybe gone better. What do you, and I usually approach it with people of what do you think could have done better? What do you think went well, didn't go well? Well, here's some of my observations and
Yeah.
what can we do better next time? And that's high level, of course, and everything's situational, but
Yeah, I think the other thing too that really helps is making sure that people have the right information, or
mm,
have information, right? Um so I think it is really important to have an open environment where you share what you're trying to do, the inputs, the data behind it. And this comes back down to trust too. Like, you have to trust the people with the information, even sensitive information, to be able to make the best decisions, right? And so
yeah,
people need to have a seat at the table. People need to um, be able to give their point of views, and as a leader, you have to listen to what they're saying and be open to anybody's feedback for you, right? Like, it's not a
absolutely.
one-way street. It is back and forth. And have people need to have the courage to say, I have a concern about what we're doing and here's why. And then you can talk through, well, that's a valid concern, or I hear you, but we're going to move forward anyway, and we'll see, we'll address it if that does become a thing. Um, and that comes to having an open, trusting environment, and trusting your people with information, so that and then providing a safe space where they can give tough feedback back, and be open with how they are, with um, what their point of views are.
Yeah. Yeah, I
And it's,
mean,
and then the thing is I do think it has to come from the top, which, luckily
it
for me,
does.
I sit at the top. I sit at the top
Yeah.
of marketing, so I can help shape the culture and team that I want, and then bring everybody on board, and hold them hold people accountable for the way that they behave.
No, I love that. Marie, I wish more leaders thought like you because you've nailed the heart of what leadership really is. It's trusting your people, giving them a seat at the table, giving them the guardrails, and then when things maybe get out of line, helping them get back in. And
Yeah.
I think so often, I feel like when people talk about, I'm bringing it full circle to our empowerment, it's like leaders seem to think that empowering is me telling you what to do and then you going and doing it. When everything you're sharing, it's so beautifully put because it's not about that. It's setting the vision and casting the vision, but letting them get there in the way that they are creatively, they can apply their own creativity, their own thinking, their own what ifs, their own, and then I love what you said too about the pre-mortems. I heard that podcast too. I
Mhm.
mean, Brene Brown, Adam Grant
Yeah.
doesn't get any better than
Cool.
those two. Maybe throwing in Simon Sinek. Okay, then that would be the ultimate. But
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
But I love the idea of pre-mortems. Although I feel like we need to think of a better word.
Yeah,
Mortem
me
is
too.
so morbid, right?
Yeah.
We'll have to
Yeah.
we'll have to give some thought. Maybe we can empower our team members to come up and brainstorm, and we'll start
Yeah.
a cultural movement of something better. But the idea of a pre-mortem, I think, is smart. But then, this is actually a question back for you, is when you think about, because you want to think about contingency, and it's a smart way to think like, what if, what could, what that, but then how do you keep people then from going to the super negative and
Yeah.
going, okay, well, now we have too many negatives. Let's just not do that. Or,
Yeah.
just,
No, I mean, I think you rail
you
them
know,
back in, because it is it is also about having some flexibility for risk, right? To
Mhm.
say this may not work. And by the way, we're not
No.
building, I mean, I say this to my team all the time. We're not building statues here, people. Like, if it doesn't work, we can roll it back and we can try again, right? It's not a permanent, um, it's not a permanent decision. Like, very rarely are you making something that's so permanent that you can't redo it, right? Um, so
I'm
let's
gonna so steal that, by the way. That's great. Building statues. That's
and
genius. I love that.
I think, I do think that, I think the other thing that we haven't touched on that is important in empowerment is also timing, right? So
Mhm.
if you have someone that kind of spins and is hard, it's like, okay, here's the vision, this is what we're trying to do, this is the timeline that I need you to do it in. And if you think the timeline is too aggressive, come back and tell me and let's talk about it. But I think that you also have to put a stake in the ground on when something needs to be done for successful empowerment.
Yeah, and there are people like me who actually prefer to work against the deadline anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
I may or may not have been that major procrastinator in school, and I might still be. So
Yeah.
I appreciate like, and actually, you know what? Speaking of empowerment, I think empowering your teams to also, if they're not given a timeline or a deadline, they should ask, right?
Yeah, for
They should be
sure.
like,
They
when do
should
you
be
need this
need this.
by?
Yeah.
What is your
So I'm going
expectation
to manage
for?
my time. I need this. Yeah. Yes, for sure. I think the other thing about empowerment is that as a leader, you should be thinking about how you're investing in your team's growth, personal
Mhm.
growth, career growth, etc. And I think that teaching someone or empowering someone so that they learn how to make decisions and move projects forward and work through others, and is all skills that they are going to need at wherever they go within their career. And we really should be thinking about, how am I making the next set of leaders, the next generation, stronger, um, and and the tools of empowerment, and what you have to learn when you own something and you have to make decisions and you have to work with others to work through others to get something done
Yeah.
is something that is invaluable.
Yeah, and it takes time, I think, to learn and coach and teach that. Do you have any tips for leaders out there of how do you empower or enable your teams to carve out the time to grow, to learn, to do like what does that look like? I feel like nobody gets this right, you know? Well, not nobody. That was a very big statement, but but I feel like, so often it's sometimes people are you taking a class? If you have time to take a class, you must not have enough work to do. Sometimes I feel like there's that feeling sometimes
Mhm.
or well, going to a conference or is it reading a book or is it truly coaching or you know, what does it mean to kind of like carve that time out in their day to day? Like and how do you set goals for that and such? I know it's a big old question, but I feel like if you had
Yeah.
any tips as to like what that looks like, that would be so helpful to leaders too, trying to figure that balance out too.
Well, I mean, I think that personal growth can come in multiple ways. I think, you know, I share podcasts, I share,
Hmm.
different things of the Curiosity Shop being one of them. Um, one, I think personal growth is ultimately on the person themselves, right? I think
Mm,
that if
yep.
you want to grow, if there's something that you're interested in doing, you need to have the courage to say, I really want to do X, Y, and Z, and then work with your leader. And as a leader, then you need to help them find time to do that. I think the other thing, though, is personal growth comes from learning from others. So when you see somebody that does something really amazing, or you see somebody in a role that you think is really interesting and or has a behavior that you want to emulate, go talk to them about it. Like just take the time to ask and have the conversation on how, and learn from them. I think the best flattery is to steal somebody else's stuff, right? And so
Yeah.
but I do think ultimately your personal growth comes down to you. And as a leader,
Mhm.
and by the way, go talk to your leader. And
Yeah.
if you are working for a leader that doesn't allow you to take some time for your personal growth, you need to reevaluate. I mean, is it okay? Is that okay? Am I okay with that? Am I okay learning on my personal time? And but if you're in a spot where um, this isn't a leader that's supporting me, maybe you should reevaluate where you are and what you're doing. And I think that that is also very important to take some time to and value yourself enough to say, am I in the right position? Am I getting what I need? And just having that check in with yourself every so often. And then being able to have the courage to make the leap to do something different. It's which is not easy. And by the way, you might say, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with where I am because of other things happening in my life. I can manage this leader. I will learn on my own. But I think, and I think this was true for me for several years, I just kind of rode the wave of the job and everything that was going on in my personal life, everything that was going on in my professional life. I just rode the wave and didn't do kind of the check-ins to say, is this where I should be? Is this where I want to be? And um, and then if it's not, then you start to try to map out how you get to someplace else.
Yeah. Wow, this is like mic drop information for people because I think there's a notion too from some employees that feel like it's up to the leader to like push down the opportunities or to make them create the opportunities for them and that there's no accountability back on them to learn, to grow, to take charge of their career. And in some cases and in some cultures, I think it does a disservice to the employee because I think there is some of that where it's not part of the culture, a learning culture, a growth culture, et cetera, which is a shame, right? But everything you're saying, I think, is so critical for people to hear that one, it is on you. Your career path is your career path and it is your accountability. And if you don't like it, or if you do like it, that it's really the choice is yours. And I think it's very easy because I've been there. I totally
Yeah.
understand. I've been there in my career too, where it's like you feel passive or you feel like you don't have a choice. Well, it's like, well, I need the paycheck, I need this, and there's nowhere else for me to go, nowhere else for me to do. This is all I know, or whatever. But, or it's on them that they should be promoting me, or they should be doing this or giving me this. And it's like, but have you asked for that? Have you gone
Yeah.
to them? Have you been candid yourself, right? And had those conversations with your leader, like, I want to learn X or I want to grow on that. But I think you're totally right. I don't know if people do the deep work. I don't know if they sit down. I know I've just gone with the flow too, and been there as well, where you're not actually sitting down and going, what do I want out of life? What do I want out of my career? What do I want out of my job? What's the vision? What are my strengths? And not just things I'm good at, but things I'm excited about and that put the fire in the belly to do. And that does take deep work and that takes solitude. That takes like journaling. There's this 100,000 tools we used to use in Circle, right?
Yeah.
But it's true. It means getting real with yourself and where you're going in your growth. And then on the flip side, good leadership is recognizing that you do want to allow people to have time to, go to a class, attend a conference, do things that's going to enable, but always operationalize that information. Don't just go, sure, sure, go to a conference and nothing changes in the work environment. What did you learn? What are
Yeah.
the nuggets from that? How do you apply that to you, to what you're doing, how you're working, to the team, how you lead, et cetera, et cetera. So I think you touched on so many critical things that people need to
Yeah.
hear.
I think the other thing, you know, um, that we talk a lot about, and I feel like it took me a long time to learn this. I feel like, I was a bit of a late bloomer in my career and potential and whatever, but you got to reckon for you will never be able to control what your leader does, right? You can that
Yeah.
what how your leader treats you, how they empower you, how they um you can give them feedback, but you cannot control that. That is outside of your control. And so you really need to focus on what's in your control. And what's in your control is the choices you make, the things you decide to learn or try or seek, how you behave, how you respond, how you move forward. Like that's all within your control. Pretty much getting someone else to do something for you is out of your control. You can try to influence, but but it is good to understand what's in your control, what's out of your control, and then to also understand your boundaries. I think when we talk empowerment's a two-way street, right? So I'm empowering you to make these decisions, but you should be taking this opportunity to learn, to grow, to bounce ideas, to not take it as a solo mission. And how do you empower others? How do you ask for feedback? It's like use it as an opportunity to get better. I mean, that's ultimately what we're trying to do. We're continuously improving, we're trying to get better, we're trying to deliver outcomes, all of that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you hit on so many great things. I think, in your opinion, when you think about, yeah, taking that control, I mean, there's so little in our control ultimately when you think
Mm-hmm.
about it, right? And
Mm-hmm.
for some reason, most of us tend to focus on the things outside of our control. I don't know if it's I mean, that's a deep conversation too. I don't know if it's because it's just easier or,
Yeah.
we get worried. I think sometimes too, we see what other people get and it's like, well, why are they getting this and I'm not? Or it's the whole mom and dad. Oh, mom, why is dad doing that? And I can't,
Yeah.
like that. It is childish behavior. But on the flip side, it's sometimes very real too when you do feel like you have peers, passing you up or peers getting opportunities or things going around. Like, how do you handle that? What kind of conversation? How do you maintain your own integrity? Because a lot of times, too, like you look out there and you see people doing it the wrong way, stepping on people to get ahead or doing shady
Yeah. It's a
things to get
dangerous
around.
slope to compare yourself to others.
Oh,
I lost you, Karlynn. I don't
I
know. Yeah.
that was so weird. Sorry. Speaking of
Uh,
editing.
Yeah.
My camera just like went to sleep and then came back again. That was
Yeah.
really, I've never had that happen before. That
I
was weird. Okay.
Yeah. So I think it's a very
So,
dangerous slope. And believe me, I've been there. I understand to compare yourself to why are they getting that? Why am I not getting that? Um, what I have done ultimately is like, well, that path wasn't for me. That path is not for me. And what I'm on my path is takes is I'm on a different timeline, I'm on a, whatever it might be. But to the more you dwell on what somebody else is getting or doing or driving versus what you're it's taking away from what you're delivering and what you're driving and what you're, you know, and so I think um and ultimately if you for growth, looking at it from a leader perspective, you want people that want to drive the business forward, that are have a positive outlook but are realistic and can give strong feedback of why something may or may not work, and be able to provide their point of view on and be knowledgeable on what they're doing. You want someone that is reliable, trustworthy. You want someone that you really enjoy working with, not necessarily from a personality perspective, but just from I can have such a great conversation with this person, and we can vet, and they're so great. And they're just really great to work with because of their reliability, because of their attentiveness, because of their ability to listen, because of their ability to provide feedback, um, because of their ability to provide encouragement, because of their willingness to help for the common good and to drive to the best solution. And those are the things I think you should be thinking about, and not worry about what's happening with somebody else. And if you're not getting the feedback that you need, I mean, you know, for a long time, I don't think I got the right feedback in the roles that I was in, and what was really truly holding me back. And it took a very, someone we both know who's amazing, a leader, to tell me, this is what's happening. This is why you're not getting promoted, and you need to change these things. And once you change these things, sky's the limit for you. And so, if you're not getting that, you need to continue to find people, to talk to people, and see, because if you know what it is. But ultimately, you're in charge of your own destiny, and you got to work on you and not worry about others. And it's
yeah.
hard, by the way. I know, I've been there. It's so easy to say that. It's so easy to say that. It's much harder to do. And I think that you go through rhythms, or you go through, phases of your career, of your personal mental health, for lack of a better word, of I just don't have it in me today, or I'm just, I'm angry at the world, or life is not fair. And you have to be able to ultimately pull yourself out of that and say, okay, I'm not where I am right now, but here's the steps that I'm going to take to get where I want to go. And just, you are in charge of your own destiny. You have to empower yourself to move that forward. I mean, to your first question, what empowered me to take that leap of faith? Well, it was the opportunity, and it was the excitement for the brand. But you ultimately have to take that leap of faith and go.
That's awesome, Marie. I mean, and sometimes it goes the way you think it's going to go, and sometimes it doesn't.
And you got to be okay with that. That's the way life is, right? Like, you have to be resilience and grit, um, are
Yeah.
probably the most important things to get you through your career in the end, right? Like, you just
Yeah.
got to keep going, and you've got to be able to reset, refresh, recharge, redirect, as you go. And it's a living, breathing thing. You know, it's what's true one moment may not be true tomorrow.
Isn't that the truth? Haven't we seen that more in the last 5 years than we've seen ever?
Right.
It's, I don't know about you, but I definitely see in the younger generations that that's an opportunity, is understanding that need of grit, resilience, keeping going. Yes, life's not fair, and you never know what tomorrow brings. Maybe us Gen Xers were just like we were wired for that, being the latchkey generation that we were at all. But hopefully,
I think they'll
um,
figure it out because lots life,
yeah,
sometimes life kicks you in the teeth and you got to get back up and keep going. And,
they're- yeah.
and by the way, I've my kids are 23 and 20, and I have this conversation with them all the time. And I'm like, you're really young. And I know I sound old when I say that, but there's so much life ahead of you. You have time to figure it out, but start thinking about it and you know, start on a path. You can change directions, you can change paths, but think about where you want to be and what, and really it's I think it's more about the self-reflection even than it is about deciding the direction. It's the self-reflection of what are the steps that I want to take today to help me have a stronger tomorrow. And building resilience and grit is something that will serve you for your entire life.
Well said. One of my favorite questions to ask people is, what would you say to your younger self? But I think you already said it. Like that was so good.
Yeah, I mean, I think that
Um,
I would have told
yeah,
myself to check in with
yeah,
to like evaluate where I am and not just be on just not just ride the wave. Like I wish I
yeah.
no, by the way, I don't wish anything. I'm happy with, the way
No,
life has
totally.
gone, and my career has been great. Um, but I think it would, to just reiterate what I've said, it would have been to take moments of self-reflection and am I where I want to be? Where do I want to go? And been more intentional about where what my next steps were. Just more aware of the myself and the control I had, and really understanding what's in my control, what's out of my control, and the things in my control. How am I more intentional in the decisions that I make?
I think it's excellent
Myself.
advice. Yes, I think it's the perfect advice for actually all of us, not even younger versions of us. But I agree with you. If I had a time machine, I'd probably do the same thing because I mean, you nailed it, empowering yourself. So we've covered a lot around empowering your teams, empowering leadership, but empowering yourself too. And realizing, I love what you said about we have more in our control than we think we do. Like there's a lot outside of our control, but all of that's external forces. We have solely what the decisions we make, where we work, what we eat, all of that is in our power, is in our control. And I know I love what you said too. It's like I've no regrets either, but if you had a time machine to go back and say something to your younger self, that's the advice you're giving to your kids. That's the advice you're also giving to team members, who are just starting out in their careers. It's like don't let it happen to you. Like make sure your career's happening for you, and that's only a decision that you can make because you're the only one that really knows what's in your heart about what fires you up and excites you and your passions, your strengths, and where you want to go. Don't let people, tell you what that looks like. Like go for it, right? Anyway,
Right.
wonderful
Or sit
wisdom.
around and wait. Like,
Yeah,
if you're saying, well, this person didn't do this for me, or my leader's not giving me this, or that's a clue to now take a self-reflection and say, have I asked for that? What do I really
yeah,
want from that? And then you have to have the courage. It's so hard I mean, I was very timid. I was talking to a friend the other day about um, a point in my career where I probably really should have asked for a promotion and a raise just because of the situation that I was in. And I didn't have the courage to do it. And so, my advice is build that courage. Like, and you can ask. And if, if they say no, they say no. But like, if you don't
Mm.
ever ask, then you'll never know what could have happened. And that takes so much courage and is hard. And there's times where I remember times where I ask a question and I just hold my breath, right? Or I make a decision and I just hold my breath and wait for it, wait
Yeah.
for the next step, the things that's not in my control. So
But
yeah,
at least, but do you ever regret asking the question or saying
I don't
something out
think
of your
so.
mouth?
I mean, not, no, I don't think and by the way, think about how you're going to ask the question. Like think about your audience, think about, how it's going to be best received. Like, those are all real things. As you're evaluating the question you want to ask and the outcome that you want. But I don't think ever asking the question is a bad idea.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
because
mean,
like you said,
understand the
what,
situation.
oh yeah,
There
for
are
sure.
times when, hey, maybe this is not the right time and I should hold my question for, slightly later date. But
Yeah.
you have to be able to read the room. You have to be able to have the emotional intelligence to understand what's happening in the big picture to make sure. So, and ask the question at a time that it will be the most well received.
Mhm.
But I think that it doesn't hurt to ask the question.
Yeah, no, you make a good point. I mean, asking for a promotion and a raise when, half your team just got laid off, probably not good timing, right? Let's think about these things. Or not even your team. It could just be
Yeah,
other, yeah, reading the room, I think is that's also a very powerful thing that people don't always do. So it's like about empowering yourself when you walk in a room and ask for what you want and ask for what you want, girl. But it's also about reading the situation in the room and making sure that timing is right. I think that was such good advice because it's like it's not just when you're okay, I'm ready, I'm gonna go do it. It's like making sure the timing is right too, because if that other person who's receiving your question is
yeah,
not in the right headspace, business is not in the right place, timing around what's happening, that's not also things that are going to factor in because then you're more likely to get a no or are you crazy? Why are you asking me
yeah.
this right now kind of thing,
Yeah.
right?
I think the other thing too is asking or understanding how people perceive you. And so this
Mm,
is kind of the other side of
that's
the
a good
coin of
one.
waiting to ask ask at the right time. But I think it is a good question sometimes to ask, how am I being perceived in this meeting? How am I
Mm,
being perceived in the feedback that I give? I mean, one of the things that was holding me back was that when I was asked a question that was um, like on the off the cuff that wasn't part of the presentation or wasn't part of the script or wasn't it was I was asked an off the cuff question. I used to spin like because the way that my brain works, I'd have like 15 answers in my head, like fighting um, for dominance to come out of my mouth. And so I came across as I didn't really know my stuff. I came across as I was maybe not as confident as I should be in answering the question. So I was eroding people's trust in my ability by doing that. Right. So that's something I can learn. And that was a perception that someone gave to me. And so I was able to, and by the way, I still struggle with that, but I was able to get better at it, right? And then I think the other thing is really ask for what expectations are. So my current leader, when he came into Princess for the first time, we had a large meeting, and he spent the meeting. It's like his first meeting in Princess, like watching how people engaged like with the like if they people were working on
that's
their
cool.
laptops and weren't engaged in the conversation. And after the meeting, he pulled me aside. It was very intense actually. He pulled me aside and he's like, this person, that person, this person, I don't think they should have been in the room. And they were, and I was just like, whoa,
Wow.
and
Right?
and but just, the expectation is if you're in that room, you are in that room to be part of that conversation. Now, are you taking notes? Are you whatever? But and he, who was CMO at the time, noticed watched every single person in the room and knew how they were responding to that
Wow.
meeting and how they were engaging. And
Wow.
so if you're one of the people that are not, aware of the expectation or aware of what's happening, that's a bad first impression that you're making that you have to overcome down the road. That
Yeah.
kind of stuff. Yeah.
Wow. And actually, that's a really good exercise I feel like everyone should do in a meeting because it might also help to figure out, well, maybe everyone wants to be in every meeting because there's just like mad FOMO, right? Especially in corporate life, I feel like. And I've tried to embrace a little more JOMO in my life, the joy of missing out, because otherwise, I'm just saying, like, there's 100 people on a call, and
Yeah.
we know they're multitasking, we know they're not paying attention,
Yeah.
and then sometimes I get so frustrated too because then later you'll have someone say, "Well, I didn't know about that," or I'm like, "Oh my God, we talked about it on that call." Like either engage or get out of the room. Like I love that your leader did that at some point, and it makes sense because it both shows a reflection of how engaged they are or aren't, the individual, but it also, I think, can reflect too that do you have the right people around the table for that particular
Yeah.
conversation? And it's like, well, you're not owed a seat at the table. You earn a seat at the
Right.
table, right? And I mean, if people are doing this and not caring, it's like, well, then you forfeited your seat. Bye. Like maybe we should do
Right.
that more. I'm going to think about that. I appreciate that advice.
Yeah, it's an interesting tool, and I find
Right?
myself doing it now too, right? And it's part of the
Yeah.
feedback that I give to others. So
I think it's brilliant. I think it's brilliant. Well, Marie, this has been an amazing conversation.
thanks, Karlynn.
I just, well, and I'm so excited for you. It's been, I think, I realized I'm like, wow, we first met like 10 years ago and
Yeah, it's been a long time.
it has, but to see how you've grown and you're an amazing leader and you've always been an amazing leader and human and with such integrity. And I've always admired and respected you so
Oh,
much.
you're making me
And
cry, Karlynn.
no, I'm just
Thank
honored
you.
to, I'm honored to,
It's hard.
yeah,
It's hard for me to like hear
I
the
know.
glowing
I
feedback,
know.
but thank you. I appreciate it. I do. I'm just learning to say thank you. I love it.
Good.
Thanks.
Yes, I know. I know you don't like it. I'll put you on the spot, and but you're the humility, even in the humility in that response to me tells me just what an amazing leader and human you are. And I just very honored to call you friend, very honored to have this conversation with you today and all the wisdom and knowledge dropping nuggets for everybody out there listening and watching. So I really, really appreciate it. And I just want you to know that. And
Thank you, Karlynn. It was
um
absolutely phenomenal. So fun.
yay, I
Glad
went
we
by
did it.
so fast,
It
but
went by
I
so fast.
and
Yeah. Oh my
I
God,
know.
it was longer than we were. I didn't realize. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
But no, I'm
Good.
like, I could talk to you all day, but I know you're a busy, busy lady
Yeah.
and I don't want to take up your time. And I know you're all over the world. But before we, anything, I gotta know what you're sipping because I did notice
Oh,
your
well,
mug
I
over
am
there.
in my Princess Marketing team mug.
Hmm.
I am sipping black coffee with cinnamon. So,
Oh, with fresh cinnamon, like sprinkle of cinnamon.
well, it's just, yeah, sprinkled cinnamon from,
Oh,
just
yum.
from a regular cinnamon
No,
jar.
I
But
like
yeah,
it. Black
it's,
coffee, black coffee, girls unite, girlies unite,
there you
because
go. There
that's
you
what I
go.
got in here is just straight up black coffee French roast. It's
Oh,
delicious.
good for you. Yeah. Like
Um,
I can't quite go black without, I need a little
a
bit
little
of
something.
cinnamon to
Mm,
take, to
yeah,
give me a little kick, but
I
it's good.
I
Yeah.
love it. No, I think it's
Yeah.
amazing. How can people connect with you or follow you or get to know
I
you?
mean,
Is there
so LinkedIn's probably the best way, although I will admit, I'm not on there that often, maybe once a week. And I'm trying to
it's all
post
good.
more, but that's probably it. And then of course, you can always see what we're doing through our Princess Marketing, princess.com, and welcome you to book a Princess Cruise anytime you want. It's an awesome place to be.
I love it. The Love Boat.
Yeah.
Just
All
kidding. I
right.
had to do the Isaac.
Yeah,
No.
Isaac. Yeah. Yeah, we're going beyond the Love Boat, but it is our
Yes.
legacy. So
Yes,
yeah.
no, for sure. I love how you've all modernized the brand so much, actually. It's quite brilliant. But still, with that little nod to heritage and the legacy, it's like you're not ignoring it. You're
Yeah.
you're embracing it, but you're embracing going forward, which I think
Yeah.
is awesome. So
And more
yeah.
great things to
And
come.
can't wait to go on my first one soon
Yeah.
too.
I
So
can't wait for the feedback.
yes. So one last thing, parting words of wisdom. Maybe
Okay.
it's even just something that gets you going through the day, like a mantra or something that just helps
Hmm.
kind of keep you going day to day or leadership.
And this is gonna sound super cheesy. but
I love cheese. Bring it.
But I think one of my mantras is be the light, like
Mm.
be the who knows what everyone's going through. And, if I can be the light at the end of the tunnel, if I can be the joy that for the day, if I can provide some inspiration, if I can hear you, see you, acknowledge you, that's really it. I mean, um, lean into gratitude and what's good in the world, what's good with the people, um, where people have strengths. I mean, I have a tendency, I have a tendency to try to see the bright side of most situations. Not to say that I can't, that I have to, be critically thinking as well, but I think that, kindness and positivity and we're going to figure this out mentality, brings the best out in people. And that's what I go for.
Mm. What a perfect way to end our sip together, Marie. Thank you again so much for being here.
Of course.
And you
Thank
are a
you.
light. You are a light. So go be a light. It's
Okay.
beautiful. So
Thanks, Karlynn. Have a great
thank you.
weekend, rest of the weekend.
Thank you. You too. I'll see you soon. Coffee
Okay.
soon in real
Yeah.
life.
Yeah, for sure. Okay.
All
Yeah, let's
right.
do it.
Thank you
Okay. Bye.
again. Bye.